Hi, welcome back. I'm Marilyn. I love making my own sketchbooks. I started sketching because I wanted to be a better painter, and I made these sketchbooks with the same kind of paper that I like to paint on. Making my own means I can pick the paper. Paper that stands up to a lot of water, which for me as a watercolorist is important. And the ones that I make are a real bargain compared to the ones that are store-bought. For example, I recently purchased this Pentalic Concertina sketchbook for about 12 bucks, and it is lovely. It has a beautiful navy blue fabric cover, but you might notice I haven't even unwrapped it yet, which says that I probably am afraid of messing it up. So the fact that the ones I make are a bargain seems to nip that problem of precious paper paralysis in the bud. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to make 4 accordion sketchbooks from 1 full sheet of watercolor paper. I'm especially fond of accordion sketchbooks because the size of the artwork is flexible. You can use 1 panel, or you can open up across 2 panels and paint a 2-page spread or a 3-page spread. In fact, some artists actually open the entire accordion and paint a panorama. That's on my to-do list. I haven't done that yet. These are the perfect size to take with you. They fit in your purse, your backpack, your sketch bag, and they're just kind of handy to have around, and they're fun to make. If you'd like to take a closer look at the sketchbooks that I've made, please check out the playlist, Sketchbook Tours. Oh, by the way, there's a bonus at the end of this lesson, so stick around. For this project, you need 1 full sheet of good watercolor paper. That's 30 by 22 inches. You can buy this at your local craft store or your favorite online art supply store. I would suggest that you shop around because prices can vary and good paper isn't cheap. I'm loyal to Dick Blick Art Supply, and I just priced a full sheet of Arch's 140-pound cold press watercolor paper at a little over $8, about $8.20. I've also had really good luck with Fabriano Artistico 120-pound cold press. It's not really so much the manufacturer. The key thing for this project is you really need a full sheet, 30 inches by 22 inches. 300-pound paper is way too heavy for this project, so we'll save that purchase for another time. You want paper that will hold up to the medium that you're going to be using. In other words, if you're using watercolor or acrylic, you need something heavier than drawing paper, which is what you'll find in many of the less expensive sketchbooks. Now, if you're using colored pencils or crayons, lighter weight paper, say 80 or 90-pound paper, is perfectly fine, and it's also less expensive. Because we're working with a big sheet of paper, we need a big flat space on which to work. No scissors or rulers required. We're going to fold and tear. And that way our sketchbooks will have a lovely deckled edge. I'm going to be working on my husband's bread baking island in our kitchen. It's a good height for me, and it's also the largest flat surface in our home. So come on, let's get started. So we have our full sheet of watercolor paper, 30 by 22, and we've got a nice flat solid surface to work on. And here's what you'll need to make the job a little bit easier. If you have a folding bone, like from scrapbooking, a paper folding bone, this works really well for setting the crease. If you don't have that, the back of a spoon works just as well. The other thing that I find helpful is I have a bowl with just a little bit of water in it because I'm going to dampen my fingertip to soften that crease, make it a little easier to tear. And just in case I have some dribbles, I've got a dish towel here. Now, what we're going to do, this first step, is to take the long edge, the 30-inch side, and match it up with the other 30-inch side. And what you want to do is get those edges as square as possible before you set the crease. Once you set the crease, it's there, and it's not going to go away. What I have found helpful is to work from the middle and kind of push back to set the crease right in the middle. If you start at the end, you're liable to you'll end up on a slant. So use your fist and kind of set that crease, and again, the whole time making sure that you're keeping those edges as square as possible. And we're going to work out to the other side. And now take that folding bone or spoon and give that crease a couple of good passes to really set the fold. Now we're going to reverse it. So take the paper, open it up, turn it the other way. Again, make sure you're staying as true to that crease as you can. The first couple of folds may be a little bit difficult, then it gets easier. And we're going to use the folding bone again to set that crease. And then I usually repeat this process about 3 or 4 times. Watercolor paper, good watercolor paper, is made from 100% cotton rag. And what we're trying to do is break those fibers down so that when we go to tear these panels apart, they are weakened, and it makes it just a little bit easier to tear. So, you know, when you get tired of doing this, that's probably the time to stop, but I try to give it, like I said, at least 3 or 4 passes of folding and refolding so that those fibers are broken down. All right, one more just for good luck. I'm going to take that bowl of water and I'm just dipping my fingers in, and I'm going to run it right along that edge. Now, I know a lot of artists don't do this, but I have found it helps me. Yep, see, dribbles. Let's refold it, and we'll dampen the other side. Same thing. It is watercolor paper, so it doesn't really matter if there's water on it. All right, now we're going to lay this with the short side toward us, and you really have to kind of get into it. Hold one side, gently pull the other side away. You don't have to be in a rush, there's no race, but you end up with a really lovely deckled edge. Could you use scissors? Yes, I just happen to like this way. All right, now we have 2 panels. We're going to take one of these and repeat the process. Long edge to long edge. Match up those edges as cleanly as you can. Work from the middle. Watercolor paper is heavy, so you really have to kind of get your body into this. All right, same thing. Set the crease. Refold. A little bit harder when we don't have quite so much paper to work with going the other direction, but we can make it work. Again, I find working from the middle helps me avoid getting a crease where I don't want a crease. All right. Again, reset with that folding bone or the back of the spoon. Give that 3 or 4 or 7 or 8 times, whatever feels like the magic number to you. You kind of get a feel for how much it takes to soften those fibers and break them down. And I think we're getting close. Let's give it one more for good luck. Got our water handy. Dampen that crease. Reverse it. A little more water. All right, and now we're going to pull apart again. The more times that you fold and set that fold with the folding bone or a spoon, the easier it is to tear apart. All right, 2 strips, 1 more to go. I think you get the idea now. It's long edge to long edge. Start in the middle. Give it a good crease, fold it back and forth enough times that you feel like you've broken down those fibers. dampen the crease, and then gently pull it apart. So from one full-size sheet of watercolor paper, we have the ingredients for 4 really nice accordion sketchbooks. 4 strips of paper that are 30 inches long, which gives us a nice number of panels. So the next step, I want to get the other 3 out of the way for a minute. And we're going to do some more folding, no more tearing. First thing is short edge to short edge, line it up. Again, not much of a middle, but that seems to work the best if you can kind of go down the middle. And we're just going to set that crease a little bit. We don't need to do much more than that. Open it up. We have 2 panels. Now we're going to take this panel, fold to that crease in the center. Take this half, fold to the crease in the center. And now we have 4 panels. All right. Now we're going to take each of these panels, fold to the crease in the center. I'm going to go to the other end. That seems to work a little bit easier for me. Fold to the crease in the center. Now I'm going to take this crease and I'm going to fold it to the center. That one's a little tougher because you're really working with double layers there, but I know you can do it. All right. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to take not the first crease, but that second crease. I'm going to bring it all the way to the middle. Push that down. Give it a go with the folding button. All right. Only one problem. We need to reverse some of these folds. So you can stand it on edge, one going this way, one going this way, back, forth, back and forth, back and forth. Bingo. I like to give them I like nice sharp creases on the edges of these pages. And you could stop right there and take this and go fill it with sketches. I like to add covers, so let's head back to the studio and I'm going to show you how to use scraps of cardboard and decorative paper to make a front cover and a back cover for your beautiful new book. And remember, you have the makings for 3 more of these. In order to make a cover for your sketchbook, you need 2 pieces of lightweight cardboard that are cut just slightly larger than the end panel of your accordion. About 1/8 of an inch is about the max. If you make it too big, it won't fold back. I like to recycle cardboard, so I often just use leftover food packaging cardboard. We're going to cover it with paper, so we're not going to see the labels anyway, and it's free. Speaking of paper, the other thing you need are 2 pieces of decorative paper that are 1 inch larger on all 4 sides than the piece of cardboard that you've cut. Now, I like to make my decorative papers. This is just copy paper, acrylic paint, and bubble wrap. I put some paint on the bubble wrap, stamped it on the paper. Crumpled wax paper, dipped in acrylic paint, dabbed on the paper, comes up with a pretty interesting pattern. Now, this was just larger bubbles for stamping and printing. You can also use old maps, scrapbooking paper, gift wrap, pamphlets that you pick up at information centers, whatever suits you. But the idea is that those 2 pieces of cardboard are going to be covered with that paper before we glue them to the front and back panel of our accordion sketchbook. So we're going to take that piece of cardboard, one of the pieces of cardboard, and the decorative paper, and this is our first step. On the wrong side of that cardboard, if you'll take glue and generously cover the back, I'm just using Elmer's school glue, nothing fancy. You might even want to use a brush to kind of make sure, an old brush obviously, to make sure that that glue gets spread edge to edge. And then you're going to take your decorative paper, lay it right side down, and we're going to center that piece of cardboard right in the middle. Give it a good press with your hand. If you have a brayer and you want to give it a few rolls with a brayer, that's great, but it's not necessary. But you definitely want to make sure that that cardboard comes in contact with the paper all the way across. Our next step is to take scissors, and we're going to cut the corners off. Now, what we want to do, the object is to get right next to that cardboard point. We're going to do that on all four sides. And then we're going to grab our glue again, and we're going to glue each of those flaps. Give them a good, right up to the edge. You don't have to be too precise about this. Definitely use a table like mine that's already pretty messy. Use that brush. I find that's the easiest way to make sure that the glue goes all the way to the edges. And now we're going to fold in each of those flaps. And you want to fold it over, give it a good press, go on to the next one, give it a good press until each of those four flaps have been folded over. All right. Now you have covered that piece of cardboard with your decorative paper. You'll need to repeat those steps for your second piece of cardboard. Once you have those pieces ready to go, it's time to grab the accordion sketchbook that we made, that strip of paper that we folded. As you can see, I even wrote cover on mine, so I'd make sure I had the right end. What we're going to do is glue the cover to the front panel, and we'll glue the second cover to the back panel. Now, I've found that the easiest way to do this is to actually put the glue on the paper. Again, an old brush. This is actually an old stencil brush. That was probably another hobby that I had at some point. But use that brush to get the paint all the way to the edge, and then you're going to lay that cover right on top. Now, you have a few seconds to kind of open it up. Make sure that the edges are lined up the way you want them and that it's pretty true. All right. And then you're going to repeat that process on the back panel with the other piece of covered cardboard. Once you've, oh, by the way, if you're worried about the glue seeping out along the edges and getting on other pages, I keep little pieces of wax paper or parchment paper, and then that keeps the pages from sticking together. When you have those two covers on, grab a book, put that little package to sleep for a while, let it sit overnight, and when you remove that book the next morning, you will have a lovely, lovely sketchbook that's all set for you to fill with beautiful art. So now you have a beautifully covered accordion sketchbook for your art. Sometimes I like to add titles, and I might trace lettering and then ink and paint on a piece of paper that I then glue to the cover. Sometimes I'll just print out a title on the computer, and again, this is just copy paper, cut it out and glue to the front. One of the fun things about these little sketchbooks, especially when you use good paper, is that you can paint on both sides. So sometimes my sketchbooks actually have two titles. In this case, we took a cruise and the first stop was Key West. So all the sketches on this side are of Key West. And then our second stop was Havana. So all the sketches on this side are from Havana. Just another fun thing about these sketchbooks. Hey, and the great news is you have the makings for 3 more sketchbooks. Wow, that's a bargain in anybody's book. Now, I promised you a bonus. If you'd like a free PDF of the directions for how to make accordion sketchbooks as well as the covers, If you'll just follow the link to my website, Marilyn Westcott Art, that you'll find in the description below, it's all yours. And that's it for this lesson. I hope you'll subscribe, come back again for more art tutorials and tips. Thanks for watching. See you soon.